Welcome, friend. My name is Amy Banca. I'm the lead pastor at Hopewell Church in Downingtown. At this time of the year, just after Thanksgiving and before Christmas, we enter a season called Advent. It's a time to slow down and savor the promises of God, which lead us again and again to Jesus. It's a time to reflect and prepare our hearts to welcome Him. Together, let's carve out just a few minutes for reflection using a book by Ed Robb called Making Room, sharing the love of Christmas. Today's topic, be a neighbor, which connects us to the experience of the innkeeper in the Christmas story. He's the one Mary and Joseph meet when they arrive in Bethlehem. After a long journey, they just want to check into their Airbnb and relax, right? Give me the keyless entry code and let me put my feet up. Maybe our first impression of this innkeeper isn't exactly positive. After all, we quickly learn that Mary gives birth to Jesus in the manger because there is no room for them in the inn. No room for a very pregnant young woman who has traveled so far? Really? How insensitive. Well, let's think about this for a minute. Bethlehem is a small town, too small perhaps for the kind of inn we imagine, a brightly lit, not so cozy Motel 6. So this place where she gives birth is more likely the lower level of a home, like an unfinished basement where the animals took shelter. So this innkeeper, often depicted as a crotchety old man in many children's pageants, is actually a kind soul whose house is already filled with guests, someone who opens their heart and their home to this young couple, maybe a man, or maybe his wife who remembers the way others helped her through her childbirth. This innkeeper stands out in the Christmas story, not as one who turns away a poor couple in need, but as one who truly makes room for them, a beautiful example of how to be a good neighbor. And when Jesus grows up, that's something He'll highlight as incredibly important for us all. Being a good neighbor, loving our neighbors. So this week, let's you and I give some thought to this. What could it look like? Do we even know our neighbors, the people who live closest to us or down the street or even a little bit farther out? Sadly, we often don't. Maybe we wave when they walk their dogs or make small talk when we arrive at the mailbox at the same time. But do we know anything about them, their stories, their strengths, their needs? If not, then how might we begin to connect? And if yes, how might we intentionally engage with them this season? Being a good neighbor can take many forms. What might God be inviting you to consider? Who might God be inviting you to notice and to reach out to? How might God be encouraging you to be a good neighbor, intentionally and tangibly? Let's you and I take a cue from this Bethlehem innkeeper. Perhaps this person's hospitality, Ed Robb says, was the first gift presented to Mary and Joseph on that bustling starry night in Bethlehem, before the wise men arrived with frankincense, gold, and myrrh. Perhaps it was the gift of the innkeeper who cared, someone with a listening ear who heard their need, someone who, though the inn was filled, made room. Never underestimate a gift like that, friends. And now go and do likewise. Be a good neighbor and have a great week. I'll see you next Wednesday.